Welcome, everyone, to the Trick Trades presentation on a day trader's guide to psychology. For those of you that are joining us now, hang tight. We're going to give it a few minutes. We're going to literally give it 3 minutes on the clock just to give people a chance to log in and sign in. So we are about 30 seconds early on firing up. And if you are joining us on the live replay, skip ahead 3 minutes, and that's when the presentation will start. So I hopefully you guys are doing well. It's coming in good. And just as a little bit of a heads up, I think we'll be all right. But, well, I'm in Costa Rica, and it is rainy season. And, well, we've got some rains coming in here. So it's off and on. It's getting pretty heavy, but we should be all right. So, again, we're going to hang tight here for 3 minutes on the clock. So right at 7:03, we are going to fire up. What did you guys end up doing today? Anything crazy? Anything wild? So I'll be announcing this again, but make sure you guys tune in to the end. We do have a real special presentation for you. It'll be quick, it'll be painless, and I'm sure you will enjoy it. It is going to be something that is going to be right up your alley. So we'll be discussing that as well as the webinar. So really solid day today. Yes, Christina. Yeah, solid day for me. Did another batch of charcoal. Used guava. Nah, didn't quite turn out the way I wanted, but that's all right. So if you're just joining us, hang tight. At 7:03, we're going to start the presentation. So we're just letting people kind of sign in. I did log in a hair early. Just want to make sure everyone has a chance to log in before we get into it. That way people aren't lost or anything like that. So a lot of this is going to be conversation based because it is on psychology. Not a lot of stuff to go over on the charts, but there will be some. So exactly 1 minute, and then we are going to fire up. Again, if you're joining the replay, the live replay, fast forward 3 minutes exactly from the beginning, and that'll start. Oh, right on, Larry. So about another 30 seconds, and we'll start here, guys. We'll get ready to rock and roll. Okay. Welcome, everyone. My name is Pat Mitchell. Welcome to the Trick Trades presentation on a day trader's guide to psychology in 2025. We're going to be going over this webinar, should be about 45 minutes to an hour. Right at the end of the presentation, we do have something special that I do want to share with you. I think you're going to really enjoy, so make sure to stay tuned to the end. We're going to be talking about a lot of things, so let's dive right into it here, folks. So let's rock and roll. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Okay, so like I said, there is a special announcement at the end of the webinar, so hang tight. And we're going to be covering quite a few different things. We're going to be covering mainstream psychology and why it's not correct for what we're doing. We are specifically day traders. We're going to cover that more. And section 1, how I got here. My story, a lot of you have already heard my story, but I don't think it hurts to rewind and revisit that. Section 2, we're going to be talking about why traders struggle. And a lot of it is for the reasons you might know, might be some of the reasons you don't know. And then, like I said, there is an announcement, and then we're going to wrap this up. Okay, guys, if you watch the sneak peek, I've been pretty vocal about this. Now, these two books, and specifically, if you are a day trader, you've most likely read or listened to or thumbed through Mark Douglas's Trading in the Zone. It is a highly respected book on trading psychology. Now, I said that very intentionally. It is about trading and investing psychology. This isn't. A lot of this is useful, but a lot of it, I would say the majority, really focuses in on trading and investing. Day trading is a different animal, okay? Day trading is very quick in and out for the most part, short-term opportunities. Okay. So the first step as a trader, we have to define ourselves. And I've said this to death. I've said this literally a million times. We have to know what type of trader we are. And if you don't know what type of trader you are, you're going to be lost. If you're a trader that is chasing news, chasing numbers, chasing fundamentals, long-term holds, overnight holds, scalps, you're all over the place, you're going to fucking fail. It's not going to work. It's not going to fly. So what you need to do if you are looking to be a day trader, you need to understand what day trading is. You have to be able to define yourself as a trader. Myself, I am a day trader, a technical based day trader looking for short-term opportunities based off of first reactions into technical support or resistance. Yes, that might be a mouthful, but that's how I define myself as a trader. Notice I didn't say I am holding overnight. Notice I don't refer to myself as an investor. Notice I don't refer to myself as a swing trader. I am a day trader. That's how I make my money. Okay. So that's where we need to start. And what Mark Douglas has done, number one, a lot of this stuff, and this is probably the most important point. So this book was made in, I believe, April of 2001. Okay. And 2001 or 2008, sorry, doesn't matter. Either way, it's antiquated. This is pre computerized and algorithmic trading. There were some algorithms going on, sure, but not to the extent that it is now. A lot of this stuff, he was also a lot of what he's referring to is floor trading. That shit don't exist anymore, man. Okay, it's a different animal. It is all computer based. Everybody is trading. Retail traders trade at home or in firms, right? And institutional traders are trading at firms. It is all done on the computer. Nobody's barking at each other on the floor anymore. Okay. He is also an options trader. He specifically trades options, not the way I trade options or you trade options. For those of you that are members of Trick Trades, it's a different animal. Okay, that's a whole different beast. So what you're getting are little snippets of useful information, but a lot of it you're going to take and you're going to try to apply as a day trader, a retail trader. It's not going to work. It's actually going to fucking confuse you. There's lots of stuff in that book, and I've had discussions about this where I've talked about it's very conflicting to what we do. Now, again, it's not to discount this book for an investor or a trader, someone that is looking to hold long term based on either speculation or fundamentals or something along those lines, an outlook on a stock. That's fine. But that's not what we're doing here. This is focused on day trading. And there's a reason why I'm being extra repetitive with that. It's important to know. Now, let's talk about Warren Buffett. This is one of his most famous books, The Essays of Warren Buffett. And here's the thing with institutional traders. He is an institutional trader. He is a billionaire. I've talked to death about institutional traders, billionaires are a very different animal. Everything they do, and I mean everything, is a game of chess. They are wolves. So the information that they are giving you, or he's giving you in this book, is to work backwards. A lot of institutional traders or big time investors, the sharks, the whales, what they are trying to do is put information into your head so that they know exactly where you're going to buy, where you're going to sell, why you're doing what you're doing. Okay. It's a trap. A lot of this shit that you'll see these people put out, guys like Warren Buffett, Bill Ackman, and those types of guys, man, oh man, it's the wrong information. It's designed to trap you. And you can see these traps set on the chart. And I point them out all the time live, nothing after the fact, no hindsight here. It is in real time. You can see the trap being laid. Okay. That's what they're doing. So you don't ever trust an institutional trader. Don't ever trust a billionaire. Okay. That's trying to tell you and teach you what he knows. He's never going to teach you or tell you what he knows. He won't do that. Right. There's a reason why they're fucking billionaires. Right. Like, you can be a millionaire and be a level-headed normal guy, period, straight up. Okay. A lot of people that have become millionaires have got there by their own hard work, grit, and stomach and sand and determination. That's how they got there. Right. Billionaires, fuck man, they had to literally slit throats in order to get there. To reach that level of success, it's an unfathomable level of success. Okay. They're different. They're wolves. They're setting traps. So, and a lot of the stuff, like, let's be real, like, you'll hear people regurgitate, and I know I'm spending a little bit too much time on this slide. I know I am, but this shit really fires me up because I hear so many people regurgitate Warren Buffett's quotes and everything else, where it's like, it's not a loss unless you sell, or like, don't sell. The only way to take a loss is through selling. It's like, that's the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life. So it's like, that's why you get all these knucklehead retail traders that literally ride stocks to fucking zero because, oh, it's not a loss unless you sell. It's like, that's fucking, it's nonsense is what it is. So again, especially not to discount Mark Douglas. It is a great book. It is a solid book, but I don't recommend it for day traders. That's where I stand on that. I used to be a huge advocate of telling people to go and read Trading in the Zone. You can find old videos of me saying that. The thing is, over time, like, I've been day trading now for the past 11 years, and over time you start evolving as a trader and you start realizing you really need to hone in and define yourself. And we're going to talk a little bit more so in a little bit about defining yourself. It is a key component of becoming a successful trader or a day trader. So I know a lot of you have heard my story before, but we're going to do a quick recap. I'm not going to spend too much time on this slide, but I do want to give you guys a little bit of background. So for myself, again, I am a trader that has been trading for the past 11 years. People always ask, well, who did you learn from? And I've talked about this. I've joined one service and it was absolute dog shit. It was Cameron Foose and it was garbage. His F1 pattern breakout is literally an opening range breakout that like fails 80% of the time. It's nonsense. Okay. So quickly, I got the hell out of there. Looked around a little bit more. I couldn't find anything. The rest, all of these strategies that are out there, they're not strategies, they're setup. And I realized that almost right from the hop. Okay. These strategies are super important. To actually have a strategy and not set up. Okay. So self-taught, legitimately self-taught. A lot of people like to say that. In fact, I had a member, Jerry, that was with me for years, 3-4 years, and then claimed as he opened up his service that has already failed that he was self-taught. So you hear that sort of shit all the time, but I have in fact been self-taught, and you can see it with the strategy. This strategy, this methodology, it's not out there anywhere else. So for myself, I reached a breaking point. I was a contract welder. I owned and operated my own contracting company, a small contracting company, one single mobile truck, pipelining facility. And I really had enough. And then I even had enough moving forward as a day trader. Okay. So you get fed up with yourself. Okay. And you need to reach a point where the only way to change is, like, you've always heard about, like an addict or something. It's very similar. There's a lot of direct correlations between an addict and a trader. Okay. um Especially when they're struggling. So you need to almost hit rock bottom. It's not like rock bottom like a fucking junkie does, but it is, you need to almost get disgusted with yourself, because you can burn your hand. You can put your hand on a hot stove element 1,000 times as a trader. And especially when you're learning, because most people that have a brain in their head aren't trading with a shitload of capital right off the hop as they're learning. That's like a first year med student kicking open the doors on, like, literally day one, week one of med school. And as they're going for a tour in an operating room and kicking open the doors and saying, "Yo, fucking nurse, throw me a scalpel. Put me in, coach." Like, it's nonsense. So you have to get to a point where you're fed up of doing things the wrong way. Okay? There needs to be some sort of a cycle there of hitting rock bottom or having enough, and then finally coming to the realization, the self-realization, that things need to be done correctly. And for myself, that happened very quickly. I was really, my back was up against the wall. For myself, I was towards the end. I had to hide my trucks. They were getting repossessed. Literally, the repo man was looking for my vehicles. I was on the third month of not being able to pay rent. My back was up against the wall. Things needed to happen. And I think that that's a big part of it too. You need to put yourself in a position where you burn the bridges, burn the boats. There's no going back. If you have a plan B, and I've talked about this lots through the years, if you have a plan B, well, you have a plan B. You have an escape plan already plotted out, right? So that's always going to be in the back of your mind. If you burn those bridges, burn those boats, there's no way back. There's only a path forward, and it's crucial to success. This is a very difficult path. And in order to not make it as difficult to where you are wanting to, like, skip out, it needs to just be, this is what I'm doing. There's no going back. So a lot of what happens too is a lot of people talk. And a story that I tell is a story of my brother. Now, I don't get along with my brother. I never really have. But anyways, with my brother, he's one of those people, and I'm sure you've met people like this. He'll say things like, he'll see a product on TV or like in the stores, and he'll say something stupid like, "Oh, they stole my idea. I invented that." It's like, no, you fucking didn't. You had the idea to do it, but you took no action. You're just like 99.9% of people on the planet that are all flap, no, no action, right? And that's what this takes. It takes action. I've talked about this a lot. Like, in order to kind of get there and to pull the trigger in these trades, to execute these trades, there can't be any talking. There's time for training, there's time for education, and then there's time for doing. And the time for doing is when the market is live. You have to have action. You need to be an actionable person that is committal with their actions. Like, you have to just commit. Okay. And that can be a hard concept for a lot of people. I mean, you understand the concept, I'm sure, but it can be hard for people to do, because a lot of people, maybe they don't have jobs where, like, commitment means something. Um, but this is what it takes. So you need to work on that. And, the last point on this is support and belief. Like, for myself, I had an amazing support system with my wife at the time, girlfriend, Chrissy. At that time, she was working at a water company, to help pay the bills while I was learning. We were a team, right? And I've had a lot of members come through the doors of Trick Trades through the years where they hide this stuff from their wives or their husbands, and it's like that's not going to work. Like, how do you expect to reach a level of success when you're hiding something from your loved one? Like, if you can't be honest with them, you can't be honest with yourself because that's what's going on, and you're just doomed for failure. Like, there needs to be support. And I've also worked with traders where there is no support from their wife. Now, years ago with my ex-wife, I brought up the idea of getting into trading. This is years and years and years prior to me actually getting into trading and starting trading. And I realized right then and there, because she tried putting her foot down, and anyone that knows me knows that this is just like that shit ain't gonna work. Um, I don't really roll like that, but a lot of people do. So they need to sit down and have conversations with their loved one, with their spouse, and let them know, hey, look, like I'm in this and I need to do this. So, anyways, for myself, she didn't want to budge on that. I left her. That's me. I'm not telling you to go out and leave your spouse, but for me, that was my path forward. And again, it's about that path forward. What I would recommend doing instead of doing the extreme like that is having a conversation. But you know what? We also need to see it from our spouse's side of things as well. So maybe one of the reasons why, and we're just going to talk brutally honest right now, maybe one of the reasons why your spouse doesn't want you to have anything to do with this is because of your actions, your day-to-day actions. You're lazy, you're complacent, you never finish anything you start. Hey, it's probably one of those three things, if not all of those three things. So make changes. If your spouse isn't going to, if that's the reason why, right, and there's a legitimate reason, it's like, hey, look, you go off on these daydreams, you never finish what you start. Show her, make the change. Like, at some point you need to make some sort of a change, right? So if this is something that you really want to do and your spouse is fighting you on it, show change. Show them how you can actually you do this, right? Or maybe you're someone that's very flippant with your word. For me, my word is everything. I won't break my word for anything. I will sooner starve, literally starve, before I break my word. I've held my word to my detriment, right? So maybe you're someone that is loose with your word. Maybe your word doesn't mean shit. So that's something that you need to look inward on. And these are the types of these self confrontations that we need to have with ourselves. So let's let's have a talk about environment, and let's put it into context of trading. So let's talk about nature. Now, I live out here in Costa Rica and I have this gigantic anthill. And last time Min and Adam were down here, we went for a walk in the back and I showed them this it's a huge anthill. And it collapsed and collapsed in on itself. And you can look down, and sure, now it's kind of filled in because the rains have brought in dirt and mud and everything else. But before, like, this thing was massive, and you couldn't really see the bottom of it. It was probably 8, 9 feet down. And basically what this is, it just became so big it collapsed on itself, destroying all the hard work and forcing the entire colony to start over somewhere else. And really what this is, into the context of trading, is like a cautionary tale of greed. When you try and build something so quickly, so big, there's only one outcome only. Okay, now, I've seen lots of traders come and go where they will get rich, right? And they'll never keep it. The faster you make money like that, okay, in trading, it is slow. Slow is your best friend. Okay. And I know that's so difficult. It's super, super difficult. Okay. But it is something that we need to understand and you need to accept, because if you try and push it, you will fail even faster. It's like, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. It's the same type of thing. It's like if you go too fast, it will implode on itself, just like that ant colony. So it's it's just understanding process and really what that is. And there's another implosion, and that's due to ego. And allowing ego and greed to grow unchecked often leads to failure, both in trading and in life. Um, Similar to how the overgrown ant colony collapsed. You know, I've seen through the years, members know this, but maybe some of you that are here don't know and haven't heard this before, but I've trained over 40,000 traders. And there's two times that egos really get involved. It's number one, when somebody's never, trade or played sports. So they're not used to a coach that actually wants them to succeed. They'll push them, they'll make them feel uncomfortable, right? That's part of the process. If your coach actually cares, you don't want a guy smiling at you in sitting in a fucking pineapple sweater, right? That's only going to smile in your face. You want someone that's just going to be fucking real with you, right? So, and that's what you're going to get here. Like, that's how it is. Whether you like it at the time or not, it just, that's the way it needs to be. There can't be any room for fluff, right? So you'll have people come in and they have this ego. And a lot of times when they're coming in, they'll say things like, "Oh, I'm just here because I'm just brushing up on my strategy." Bullshit. If your strategy was any good, you wouldn't fucking be here in the first place. And that's usually exactly what I tell people like that, because they are lying not only to me but more importantly to themselves. I don't care if a stranger lies to me. It makes no difference to me. But when you're lying to yourself, you lose all of your potential, all of that potential that each and every fucking human being has. You lose it. So that's the first point. The second point is, once a trader starts making money, actually, there's a problem with a member right now where he's doing well on paper on his, not, sorry, I shouldn't have used the word paper and then said the word account. It's not a paper account. He's he's doing well in his account, okay? So, but when you analyze his trades, and I can see it on trade entries. I can take a look at trade entries and immediately know what people are doing wrong and what they're doing right. Like that. And I've exposed so many so-called professional traders just by looking at their entries, because the truth is always within that trade. And it's like one of those things when you are a professional, like this is something you do and you're very good at this. Like you've strived and pushed for mastery. You can see that shit. And when you start making money, people will mistake money for doing things well. And that's not necessarily how it is. You can get lucky. Here's the problem with trading, any type of trading in the market. You can get lucky for a long time. In fact, you get rewarded or can get rewarded for doing things the wrong way over and over and over and over again. And that ego builds, and it is about keeping yourself in check. You need to keep yourself in check. If you don't, and you stop wanting to learn. Myself, I never stop learning. Every single day. It's one of the reasons why I put out trade recaps, because I'm analyzing my trades, right? And it gives me a chance after the market closes, I can come back and I can take a look at things and from a healthy standpoint dissect these trades, right? So it helps. I never want to stop learning. I'm always pushing. There's a big difference between I've been running trick trades now for 8 years. There's a big difference. Now, the strategy has always remained the same. The core strategy, it's always remained the same. I've never deviated from that. But there's been an evolution, and I always want to evolve as a trader. Like right now, I'm finding it so interesting having the ability, and members can back this up, to mark out before the market even does it. So there's no hindsight. And I'll draw the next 6 moves right on the chart. And it'll do that, those next 6 moves within, reasonable tolerance. But that's where it's going to go. That's what I get a kick out of, because I love not allowing these fucking Harvard and MIT grads wearing their fucking suits behind their desk get one up on me. It's not going to happen. So that's what motivates me. Motivates me to push and to win. That's what it is. So you have to watch that ego. Even with all that said, that can be misinterpreted as ego. It's not. It's just confidence in what I'm doing, because I'm always pushing to learn, right? And sometimes I think a lot of people don't realize what that word ego means. They think it means macho, or you got your chest puffed out or something like that. And that's not what it is. It's in all of us, right? And you'll see it a lot in the self-help and especially the psychedelics universe. You'll see people, they have one ego death, and then all of a sudden they're fucking, they've got face paint on and they're living in the fucking jungle and they become fucking shamans. Now, maybe you don't see that living where you live, but I do. I see that sort of shit happen all the time. Someone drops a tab or eats fucking 5 grams of fucking mushrooms or smokes a bowl of DMT, and all of a sudden they are a fucking shaman. And it's the most wild thing ever. And that's basically what is happening here. You'll make some money, and then or a trader will make some money, and then there's no talking to them. And it's, I'm not going to read comments. It's just going to like throw me off here. Maybe just save your questions for the end, guys, or else that's going to throw off the flow. Like you're in the middle of a fucking webinar, right? So let's move on here. Okay, this is an important slide. It's a difficult slide, but it goes to even a little bit what I talked about before. Sometimes we have to make the hard decisions if we are going to be on that road to success. There's a lot of people that are all in your life right now. Okay. Myself now, I do not have any of those people around me because they've all been removed. They've all been cut. Now, we all have the one friend that complains about everything. We all have the one friend that always blames others. And right now, you don't want to get rid of that friend, right? Because, oh man, I've known fucking Bill forever. Yeah, but the problem is Bill's a fucking sack and he's a loser. Straight up, call a spade, right? That's the problem. People, they don't want to make these hard decisions. If you need to at some point, see, for me, one of the hardest things for me, I've always put people first. And I would always, for myself, I would be broke and still give my last $5 away, right? Now, some people may say that that is generous and that is nice, but what does that do for me, right? Do you know what I mean? Like now you're fucking yourself. Now, I'm not saying that, you can't help people. That it might be the wrong analogy to give, but to my detriment, I would always want to help or please others. And I would never put myself first. And I've talked about this for the last 8 years with trick trades. You have to get selfish. You have to make these hard decisions. Now, here's how I mentally, because this is super important to this discussion about psychology. Sometimes we need to come up with a way that this makes sense in our brains, in our minds. Okay. And one of the ways that I rationalized what I had to do, right or wrong, is what it is. But there's certain things that I had to do in order to get to where I am. And if I'm going to be candid and honest with you guys, even though I just kind of flippantly said that about leaving my ex-wife, I do also have a son who I fucking love to death. That was an extremely hard decision. Okay. And this isn't easy to talk about, but sometimes we need to have these fucking hard conversations. And one of the ways that I rationalize this with myself, right or wrong, like I said, is I need to make the hard call, the hard decision now, because sometimes that's what you need to do, right? And when I get to where I'm going, because I've always had the utmost faith in myself and confidence. Like that's if I say I'm going to do something, I will get there. Like no matter what, I'm going to get there. Like failure is never a fucking option, right? So when I do get there, I can certainly make up for maybe not the greatest decision. Okay. Now I stand by my decision. I would never change it for the world because now I am able to provide for my son in ways I never would have before. I would have been doomed. I would have been eking my way through life and I wouldn't have been able to give him the things that he needs or wants or desires or whatever. He will never struggle a day in his life. Now, some may argue that might not be the best thing. Struggle is necessary, but I'm just saying no matter what he wants to do in life, he has the ability to do it, right? So there are ways that we need to have these conversations and instead of just dismissing something and being like, "Oh, well, I can't do that because, I can't leave my wife. That's my wife." Or I can't do that. I mean, what am I going to do? I mean, my son's there. Yes, but sometimes in order to move forward, we need to break that stick. And it's fucking hard. It's not easy. Even talking about it's not an easy subject to talk about. But we need to that's what we need to do. If you have somebody that is limiting you in your life, something needs to be done. Now, I'm just giving you the example that I have from my personal experience, okay? And it's really crucial to understand that there's a lot of people, and I'll give you an example. I know lots of people that will, when they're in conversation, it's like, oh, my friend, I went over to my friend's house, and my friend here, and my friend there, and this and that, and all of a sudden you start adding up all of these fucking friends, and they literally have 100 friends. It's like, dude, you don't know what that word means. And then you'll hear people, it's like they'll call everyone their friend, and it's like then they'll tell you a story about the one time you needed that person and they're not there. It's like, and then you're still friends with that person. Well, that's not a fucking friend. What are you doing? Stop that. Cut it out. Stupid. Like quit hitting your head against the wall. Those people will hurt you, right? They're dangerous people, right? They're using you for one thing or another. So it's really important to understand that, what loyalty and friendship means and having those circles of people that you can make the phone call, the hard phone call at 2:30 or 3 in the morning, and all you tell them is, "I need you to bring me a shovel. I fucked up." And then they just say, "Yeah, you're at home? Okay, I'll be there." That's it. Click. And then they're going to be there. And yeah, that might be an extreme example, but living in the world that we're living in right now, it's important that we have those tight circles of people and that people that only help bring you up. They only want to see you succeed. The amount of fucking people I've had after, like, I had nothing before, nothing, broke. Now, I mean, I have the ability to do things I never thought in my wildest imagination I'd be able to do. Um, and yeah, I know sometimes it can be gross to talk about money, but I'm in a point now where I never have to think about money again. And my son will never have to think about money again. and I retired my parents and I pay all their fucking bills, right? Like, and then you actually do something nice for yourself, and maybe you buy yourself a nice car, right? Maybe you've always wanted a certain type of car, whatever it is. And then you see people starting to count your money and things change. Like they think you're an asshole because you're driving a certain car. Well, that doesn't change who I am. You know, my brother came down here and I moved him down here and I basically retired him. I was going to build him a house or buy him a house. It all fell apart because he's a fucking idiot as usual. And it all changed when I took him for a ride in my Ferrari. And to me, it's just a fucking car. We went for a rip down the road. I like to drive fast shit. That's all. I like loud fucking cars that drive fucking fast. I also like fucking shooting fucking guns and blowing shit up, right? That's it. I've never changed. I just have the means to actually fucking do it now. And he got all fucked up from that. So it's like you can't have people like that around you. You can't, because they only want to see you fail. They're rooting for you to fail. So tighten that up. So now moving on to the next slide here. Oh, Michael Anthony's being a fucking homo. Cool. So trading as a career and a lifestyle, the freedom factor. So this isn't a job. This is far beyond a job. Okay. Trading is not just a job, but a career and eventually a lifestyle. The difference centers on the freedom that comes with mastery, being able to work on your own terms and live wherever you choose. Okay. People have a hard time envisioning that. Okay. I'm here to tell you it is so fucking possible and doable. I come from a lower middle, and I don't even know if I would consider my upbringing middle class, to be honest. I think it's even lower than that. Like we were fucking broke, man. So coming from that to this, there was a major transition. Okay. We also, because we are so brainwashed and programmed into working a 9 to 5, that one thing that a lot of you guys need to start preparing yourself for now, even though because again, people have a hard time envisioning this stuff, right? Well, you're basically retired. Okay. So if you're not a naturally curious person that is interested in a plethora of different things out there. I mean, I'm always into one hobby or another. Right now, I'm getting a kick out of making my own charcoal. Sure, to some of you, that may sound fucking lame and boring, but I'll tell you what, I'm using different types of wood, different types of hardwood, jungle wood, seeing what produces the best sound when you clink it fucking together. I love that shit. Why? Because I've done probably since moving here 50 different hobbies. I'm on to the next, right? So it's important to understand, long story short, that this stuff you do need to prepare for, because it can be very difficult at the beginning, because it was for me. I didn't know what to do with myself. I had all of this time on my hands. And a lot of people talk about, they have this like grade 8 vision of being rich. And fuck, man, I'm going to put my feet up on the beach. Man, my beach is literally 4 minutes away from here. And I haven't been on a beach in a while. It's fine. I got other shit to do, right? Like I can only sit on the beach for so long, right? And then you're going to get bored. And then you're going to want to go back to like work. Fuck all that shit. Just go find hobbies. So it's something to really prepare for. Prepare for. You know, this also leads to like financial and personal freedom, right? Like it's not about money, it's not about like wealth. It is about freedom. And I've talked about this a lot. And I was actually going to do a trading retreat down here on my property in Costa Rica. I've got a fucking huge property up here, up in the mountains of Costa Rica. And one of the reasons, it's not just to live day trade. We would all live day trade together, but it's to show you what freedom actually means. Having this conversation, and I've had this conversation before. A lot of people don't know what freedom means. And I know that that sounds super condescending, and you're like, "Of course I know what it means." And there's a lot of you that are listening to this that you're not broke. You didn't come from my background of being broke. You have money. So you think because you have money, that equates to like you know what freedom is. Some of the most fanciest fucking slaves out there that I've seen have money. They're fancy slaves. And it's getting out of that routine. I've always like pushed myself to like self-sustainability. You'll read in books on like, you'll hear people, oh, if it doesn't fly, float, or fuck, lease it, right? Like, oh, you should always have payments. It's like, get the fuck out of here. I don't want payments. Everything I own, I've paid for cash. And that's not to like flaunt that or like say that as some sort of like boastful whatever. I don't want, if something were to ever happen, like, I'm good. It doesn't matter. I can sell one of my fucking 5 or 6 fucking properties. I can sell a house. I can sell fucking millions of dollars in fucking watches. I can do whatever the fuck I want to do, right? I can just sell it, right? I'm good. Everything I have, I own, right? And that's what we really need to push for. And a lot of people have a hard time thinking that like wealth equals freedom, and it doesn't. Freedom needs to be learned. It's one of the hardest things to teach people what that actually means. So maybe one of these days I'll put together a trading retreat. I call it the Taste of Freedom retreat. We'll see. So now let's talk about mindset and psychology, the foundation of success. And remember, guys, I mean, this stuff starts with you. Self-honesty and accountability are prerequisites for others to believe in you. Okay. And that touches on what I talked about before. Maybe someone in your life right now doesn't take you serious because you're not honest with yourself. You're constantly blaming others or looking for excuses, and you're just not honest. You're not honest with them, and you're not honest with yourself, right? So it's hard for people to believe in you, right? And you do need that. You need those consistent actions, right? And I'm going to give you a quick little story on this, and I hate to put her on blast. I'm not going to use her name. We have a brand new member, so I always give a little bit of leeway with that, because people need to be remolded and reshaped. And when just the other morning she asked, like, I have a hard time with consistency or discipline. I can't remember which one it was. And I gave her a real easy exercise, right? And all I said was, just if you're having problems with that, you need to make these little changes. And one little change that you can make, and maybe when you get up out of bed, you just take the sheets off, the covers off, and you just get up and you leave your bed a mess. It literally takes 10 seconds, less than that, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, to grab the sheet, fix the sheet, and the comforter. And that's it. Make your bed before you leave. It's something that you don't do now that you can do, and it just becomes consistency. It becomes routine. I'm a creature of habit. I have a certain time that I follow for everything. I can like map you out my life to the minute every day. Now, a lot of people may not want to live like that, but that's what this takes. Everything needs to be done a certain way, right? And to get back to what this member said after was, well, I'm manic, or I can't remember what she said after, but she came with an excuse. She came to me with a problem. I'm trying to give her a solution. She comes at another problem. And if you're one of those people, you need to catch yourself doing that, right? Because it's not going to translate into your day trading at all. It won't. You're going to be fucked, period. If you're someone that when somebody is talking to you, trying to give you advice on trying to help and correct and, just help you, right? It may sound silly to you. It doesn't matter what the advice is. But if you're someone that comes at them immediately with a problem again, how long until that person that you're coming to for advice no longer gives you advice and then you're on your own? Because I'm very quick to cut people off. And like I said, I wouldn't do that to a new member. I will always try and push them and get them corrected. But after a certain amount of time, if this shit were to go on for 6 months or a year, every time I come at her with a solution, she comes to me with another problem. I'm just no longer going to help. I can't. You can't, because you can't help people like that, right? So it's just one of those things that it's something that you need to be you need to really you need to be self-aware as a trader, or else you're going to have a lot of hard problems. And speaking of hard problems, it's hard truths, right? Those hard truths are something that is very difficult. Now, I'll tell you a story. I did a series on YouTube. You can go find it. It's called Truth Behind the Trade. And you'll see a video. It was the last one that I did. The trader's name was Adam Page. And I don't mind putting him on blast because he's a complete fucktard. But and the thing that's really interesting about the Adam Page episode is you could tell he never listened. Never listened. He would only tell either me or Adam, the other Adam, what we wanted to hear. You got that feeling about him. So I was a little hesitant to do a truth behind the trade with him. And I talked to Adam that works for Trick Trades about this before, but I'm like, let's see where this goes. Maybe we can get through to him. So we do an hour-long session. I think we're making headway. And as soon as we turned off the cameras, what did he do? He immediately reverted back. Yeah, but Pat, I want to trade like you. It's like, dude, but you can't. You're not there yet. You're talking about being on chapter 20 when you're on chapter 3, man. The fuck is wrong with you? I just spent an hour with you. So after that, he leaves, right? Because he's all pissy. About a month or two after that episode. And now you see him in the comment section of my YouTube talking so much shit about me holding and hoping forever, how I never cut trades, which isn't true at all. I just posted a trade, my 2 trades from yesterday. I took a $932 loss, right? Like the guys, these people want to blame others, right? And it's a real interesting episode, especially when you know what happens after when those cameras got cut. Go check it out. It's worth a watch. He's an absolute chameleon is what that guy is. And it's because he still, after all of that time working with him, he doesn't want to look at himself in the mirror. Now, the look in that guy's eyes, as soon as we saw him live, because that was the first time meeting him, we knew something was a little off. Like one of those people out there that how the news reports when they interview the neighbor later. Oh, he was really quiet and kept to himself. He seems like one of those fucking guys. But that's a story for another time. But go check that episode out. But the truth behind the trade is about facing those hard truths as traders. And you're not always going to have someone pointing those things out for you. So you have to push for that. You have to want to fight for the truth. And when you think you find the truth, dig deeper to get to the root cause, okay? Because you're going to think you have the truth, right? Like you're going to think that, okay, so when you execute a trade, I take this trade and I hesitated because I'm scared. Well, what is being scared? Take it one step further. Fear and being scared. So fear stems from a lack of education. Okay. Think of the first time you get into a vehicle, the very first time you ever jumped into a car, right? You're probably scared or, a little scared. It's because you had no experience. You didn't know the rules of the road. You didn't know how other people would react on the road. So there is an element of fear, right? And it's the same thing with trading. Fear is stemmed from a lack of education and a lack of understanding. So if you recognize that you're scared in a specific trade setup, what do? Educate yourself, understand, push, ask questions, right? It's one of the beautiful things about trick trades is you do have the ability to ask those questions, right? So we have to confront ourselves. So there are three mindsets. So the student mindset, which is you're here right now, the beginner must submit. A lot of people, especially men, don't like that word at all. And you have to attend to the process, focusing on learning, humility, and gradual mastery. Impatience and ego are common pitfalls at this stage. And then the professional mindset, which is where you want to be. At this stage, discipline, risk management, and patience are central, right? That's all I think about. I don't think about the money. I just think about being disciplined, having patience, and always thinking about my risk. How can I manage my risk? That's all I think about. And then the results will just come. So, and then there is the master's mindset, which is that's where I am, right? So, mastery is marked by unwavering discipline, consistent adaptation, and emotional detachment from outcome. That's the hardest part is that emotional attachment to outcome, any outcome. And you'll see from traders that, that watch me trade that I will say things such as, I I don't care where this goes, but because of my strategy, I have to execute it. And it doesn't matter. That's why I can remain so calm in these trades. And I trade live with a small group of traders in my momentum program. And live screen share where you get access to all the trade plans and guidance and everything else, right? In the main room. But momentum, the live trade, it's just different. It's you need to be a member in order to participate in momentum. Because I need to make sure that you're trained and you're not just some goofball trying to shadow my trades because you'll fuck it up big time. But for me, it is about doing things the right way, no matter even if you don't want to, right? And I think that that's the hardest part. Day trading like this is so specific to day trading because of the speed at which these charts are moving. It's very easy when these charts are selling off real hard and fast into those levels, a support level, that you get spooked out. But for me, I've just come up years ago and said, no matter what, I'm executing that trade. I don't care what it does. To me, there's no difference between a red trade or a green trade, right? And if you don't understand that concept, I want you to think about it. It is about the process of that trade, the strategy, execution of strategy. And if you can start thinking like this, mastery will come. First, professionalism will come, and then mastery will come. There's only one outcome, right? So it's important to really understand these three mindsets, right? Like the immediately right off the hop, you need to submit to process, right? And submit to doing things the right way. So many people will nod their head yes. If I asked each and every one of you, like, have you submitted to the process? And you'll nod your head yes. But there's actually only very few that have, and the rest of you really need to work on it. I see it with your entries. I see it with the things and that's normal. There's nothing wrong with it. It's part of the process. But you need to face these hard truths that we talked about before. Be honest with yourself. It's like, no, I haven't submitted to the process yet. I'm still having a problem with XYZ. That's the proper answer. Don't just smile and nod. It's not going to help you. right? This isn't kindergarten where you're going to get fucking laughed at because you got an answer wrong to a question, right? That kindergarten mentality will absolutely fucking destroy you. So now let's talk about those ants again. Now, army ants, they're a lot of people will think they're a nuisance. And every time I tell this story about when army ants come into my house, remember, this is the fucking jungle here, right? A lot of people are just like, whoa, what do you mean? And it's like, no, no, no. That's I like when they come in my house because they clear out everything. They clear out spiders, they clear out scorpions, they drag out the dead and chase out the live ones that are still in there. So I welcome them, right? And it is about those perceived negatives and turning it positive. You just like everybody has it in them. I can think back to every single negative thing that has ever happened in my life. And I'm talking about some horrible shit. When I was 18 years old, I battled drugs and alcohol for a really long time. But when I was 18, I moved away from Edmonton and I moved south about 6 hours to Medicine Hat. And I was working for a family friend. And literally, my first night fucking there, I took a handful of ecstasy and drank more booze than any human should and got spooked and decided to drive back to my hotel room, which was in the next town over. Well, obviously, that didn't work out. And I piled into a parked Nissan Pathfinder right in front of the cop shop. In fact, the cop that gave me a speeding ticket that morning before came out. He goes, "Oh, city boy, you're back." So obviously got arrested, had a DUI. One of the worst nights of my life. I felt so horrible for piling into that parked vehicle and just the stupidity of it. But that's a whole other story for another time. But I'll tell you what, if that didn't happen, it wouldn't have moved me because from there I went to Vancouver. From Vancouver, some other shit happened. And then I moved back. After I moved back, that's when I met my first wife. If I didn't meet my first wife, I wouldn't have had my son. And it needed to line up like this. And I could keep going and going and going and going and going. You can always find a positive for every negative. Okay. And I'm talking horrible shit, brutal shit. It is about thinking and finding that positive. Because then it's like, I wouldn't change that for the world. That would tell me I wouldn't have my son, right? Things need to happen a certain way. There really isn't anything, there aren't such things as negatives and positives. And it's just things that happen that get you to the point where you are supposed to be. All of you are supposed to be here right now. You might not see it that way, but you are. There are probably 1,000, literally 1,000 little things that led you right here, right now. So are you going to seize that opportunity? Are you going to see it as an opportunity? Because you should. Trace back the last 5 things that brought you here, even just to this webinar. Okay. And I bet you if you put those pieces together, you'll start thinking a little bit different. So let's talk about the bigger picture and constructing our own freedom. So we need to own our achievements. True financial freedom and security come from owning assets outright and avoiding debt. And I did talk about this before. And this is something that we need to think about now because what you can't be doing is getting yourself more and more and more into debt. I've seen so many new traders when they get into trading, they want to buy themselves the craziest, coolest, Instagrammable setup and office. It's like, listen, motherfucker, you haven't made a dime yet. Let's fucking tone down the shit. Okay. Sure. And then you'll hear people, well, I want to feel like a professional. No, let's just let's get the process down. That's how you can be a professional. Don't no more with the lies, no more with the bullshit. Now you just put all of that fucking nonsense that you don't need. I made my first $1 million. You know how I made my first $1 million? With an all-in-one PC, garbage, complete trash, and a 10 or $15 monitor from Kijiji, which is you probably don't have Kijiji, but it's like a Canadian marketplace type of thing. That's it. That's how I made my first million. You don't need that shit, guys. Okay. So it's about setting yourself up now. I didn't want it to go into debt at the beginning. I didn't want to spend any fucking money. I didn't spend money until I made my first million. Now, I'm not saying that you need to do that, but I was just too scared because I never had money. I had a real hard time getting over having money because I was so afraid that it would disappear. Okay? That's a whole mind fuck in itself. You literally have $1 million in the bank, but you're too scared to spend a fucking penny of it. Yeah, that's a mind fuck. Okay? Some of you are probably going to have that problem too, right? Own everything. Nobody can take it away. There's no bill payments, there's no pressure. I don't need to work for like at all for years and years and years and years, right? Don't have to. And I'll still be able to pay my bills, right? The minimal bills that I have. I've got a cell phone bill and I've got a power bill. That's basically it. Everything I own. I own this property. I own my house that I just built $1 million house, built it, paid for it cash. Don't you have to sell, you have to set yourself up now. It's so important. And then work towards building a sustainable life, a self-sustainable life. Something that you can keep going with. You'll see a lot of this is what happens with, basketball players, football players. They get signed these huge contracts and they get used to living a certain way. And then they blow their knee out after only a few years, right? And then they try and keep up with it, with the lifestyle that they were living because they're buying the Lamborghinis and fucking, just nonsense, $50 million homes. It's unnecessary, right? Work towards like safety and security and just like fulfillment, right? These are the types of things that I want you guys to really like visualize and think about because it's going to really help you down the line. And it's hard to think ahead in the future when this shit feels so far away. And I've said this so many times, you're literally this close. You're all that close. Something just needs to click. You know how to execute, right? Now, maybe some of the non-members, people that are just joining us here, maybe you might not know yet, but it's a lot easier than what you think. So, how do you get started? So, we have the right mindset. That right mindset is important. You have to be putting in the work, mastering technicals, understand time, commitment that is required for growth. We have to be realistic. Okay. We have to be realistic. And even with all of these things, some things it still might not quite feel right. So there's a gap. Your present and your future selves. There's a current version of you and future version of you. The space between them is the gap you need to bridge. The current version does not understand the future version. This creates a battle deep inside below the consciousness. Okay. And I've said this for years. It's so one of the reasons why it's very difficult to get through to new traders is you're trying and for traders to do it themselves as well is because you don't know what you don't know. And I've used this example a lot. In fact, I used it probably on the last recap. But if you've never seen a castle before, right? Never. You don't know what that is. You've never seen a picture. It's never been described to you. And I ask you right now to draw me a castle. What would you draw me? Well, it certainly wouldn't be a castle, would it? Right? You don't know what you don't know. And that's the hard part, right? But there's a way to unlock these things. So you won't allow that future self to take control of what shapes your life right now. Lack of time, lack of money, lack of knowledge, lack of patience. This lack is it's all perceived. All of this is just perceived, right? And that's you're in a battle of identity. Your identity, most of you, and I'll give you an example to help, put this into context. There was a member, his name was Chris. His name in chat was Dr. Chris. Well, he's no longer a doctor, yet he refers to himself and identifies as a doctor. Now he's trying to become a day trader. How is that ever going to fucking happen when you are calling yourself a doctor when you're no longer a fucking doctor? You're still identifying as a doctor, right? There's a lot of you that might be teachers, right? You might be an accountant. You might build homes. Well, the second you get into this, if you want to make it, you identify as a fucking day trader and you own it. You live and breathe this shit. You need to identify as a day trader, not a he, him, she, them bullshit, a day trader. That's what you identify as. Because if you identify as a doctor, if you identify as a home builder, if you identify as a teacher, if you identify as an accountant, that's who you are. You will always be attached. Okay. Part of you is going to be attached back there. And that's one of the major problems each and every one of you guys have. It's important that you guys get over that and you identify as a trader. Min is a great example. Remember, Min, love the guy. One of the reasons why I have so much respect for him is because he lives and breathes this shit. Now, I've met a lot of other people, a lot of other members, and they'll like men. If I were to ask him, right, who are you? He would say he's a fucking day trader, right? He identifies as a trader. That's why he's doing as well as he is. There's a lot of people that have this little attachment that they have a real hard time letting go of their past self. That person's dead. There's a reason why you're starting this new chapter. That person's dead. You need to leave that person where it belongs, in the dust, fucking, or 6 feet under. That's where you leave that person. That person no longer exists. I'm such a different person. Maybe not at my core, but overall, I am a different person than what I was. I don't know who that. It's hard for me to even visualize that person that was a welder contractor. I forget a lot of that stuff. I forget a lot of people that I met back then. Don't care. This is who I am. This is my life, right? You got to live and breathe this stuff, and it's important. You have to define who this person is and get to know every detail of their life, right? Accelerate self-improvement of going deeper into their subconscious. Focus on fundamental changes for lasting impact. Unlock your full potential through introspection and take action. It's important, guys. So, ways we're helping traders believe in professional day trading identity is possible is, all of this sort of stuff, right? Like that I offer. Now, if you don't want to do anything paid, that's fine. I'm not forcing you guys. I've got 1,000 free videos on YouTube. But we do offer online courses and that include all of the trading strategies. Most people will give you their entry strategy. We'll have an entry strategy, an exit strategy, a risk strategy, a management strategy, and a sizing strategy, because that's what this takes. I'm a thorough motherfucker, right? And that's what I give you guys. You get daily coaching, guidance, and mentoring. And now there is that new announcement. So this is a new way. It's not new to the world, but it's new for us. And it is something that isn't out there at all. And this is called Trick Trade's Core. So, what is this? So, you unlock your deep trading potential with Trick Trade's Core. This series, and I want you guys to hear it out, okay? The series of binaural meditations targeting specific trading habits and beliefs that cause these habits. So, a lot of people, I'm sure, have used some sort of binaural beats or meditations or something along those lines. And um, but they're not trading specific or focused. It's, binaural beats or meditations or affirmations on how to be a successful person, on how to quit smoking, all of that. This is trading focused. It's all designed by us with legitimate, proper binaural beats, as well as meditations and affirmations. Okay. So, um, what it does is it accelerates your trading mindset and forges your new identity. Okay. Because that's what it's about. You have to believe. And sometimes believing isn't enough because your subconscious gets in the way. And we need to break that down. All right. So I don't want to draw this on, but I do want to tell you guys what it all includes because volume one it's so robust. Okay. It's not expensive. Everyone uh, should try and break that subconscious down so then you can really get to your future self. So volume 1 includes all of these problems, these hurdles, small wins, losing streaks, missed trades, oversizing, and over trading. So those are all super focused guides. Okay. Now, before we get into what works, because I think I'm just going to hit it right here. This is what each one of those, so let's say small wins, big losses, each one of those includes a focus session, which is 15 minutes. It kicks off your day, sharpens your awareness. And one of my favorites is the market session. It's an hour and a half long. You play it either in headphones or in the background while you're listening to me teach you live on screen share. There are alpha binaural waves that help promote observation and really help you with focus and retention of information. And hey guys, I was skeptical of this stuff at first. And I've used this for years and it does work. You wake up more well rested and everything else. And there is something to frequencies. And if you've never done any type of research on it, it's very interesting and it does work. Then there's the power session, which is an hour, and that's post trading to solidify those lessons. Now that helps soak all those lessons in. There's even a 7-hour sleep session. And then there is the affirmation sessions, 3 1-hour tracks. That's for each one. That's how robust this is. Okay. This isn't some flaky garbage that someone's trying to sell you. This I use myself. That market session alone will help you retain and focus this information that you're being given. So, Luke has posted the link. It is live, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. You can, right? If you only want big losses or oversizing or small wins, those are $25. I wouldn't recommend do that. I would recommend just getting the full volume. It's $97. I wanted to make it an offering that everyone should be able to participate in. This something like this is so easily because it's very trading specific. I could have packaged it for $1,000. I never want to do that to people. I never want to feel like I'm fucking squeezing you. That's why the amount of time that it took us to make this and program all of this, I mean, man, it's far worth it. I looked for this years ago and I could never find anything that was trading focused or specific. It was all about how to be successful and everything else. Like, um, and which is fine to have that successful mindset, but this here, this volume one is going to get your trading in order because some of you can try and try and try, but you have some shit rattling on in your heads that you need to break down on a subconscious level. That's just facts. Facts. So that is there for you guys. And, right now, just I think we will wrap this up. There's so many tools out there that are available to close these gaps. And the psychology of trading requires a clear identity to build upon. That identity is super crucial, super important. It's an observation actually that Adam had when he was down here. Um, Not going to go into detail, but he did notice that Min identified as a trader. And then there were others that identified with a past self. And those people would know who they are. They're here right now. So if you are one of those people, maybe think about that, right? And it's like, are you actually identifying as a trader? So it's already, this is ran about 20 minutes longer than expected. I still want to open up to answering questions from some of the maybe new people that are here. So if you do, I'm going to give you a sec. Maybe you um, wrote a question down. So Joe asks, how slow did you grow year by year the past 11 years? Only reason why I asked to give everyone a perspective as to what to expect year by year. Well, the thing is, but that's a thing. Like, I've told my story, Joe, 1,000 times, and my results, like, here's the thing, and this is so important to this discussion. I can tell you, and I will in a second here, what my progress was. My progress has nothing to do with your or Christina's or Jay's or Min's or Lauren's or Jack's or Vincent's or Lori's or Brian's progress. Everybody is different. I've talked about what this M tattoo means. And it was from $30, which is kind of a long story and a story in itself, to my first million in 365. And actually, it was a little bit under 1 year. I made my first million in a year. Now, that's very different than what your story might be. So again, you can't compare other people's results or path. This is what I've been trying to get through to you guys throughout this past hour and 20 minutes, that it's on you. This is all specific